Okay, CO2 is called the problem that heated up the world. I think that's largely false. I did some calculations and they're kind of alarming. The calculations are basically okay. So my calculations are okay. The ocean was always there, right? The ocean was always there, and if anything, there's more cloudy events over the ocean. So heating up the ocean is not happening because the ocean is absorbing more radiation. The ocean did not change in whatever in its size. So then I was like, okay, well, we did not lose that much ice. Like maybe we did, but it wasn't due to CO2. I don't think so. I think it was due to human activity. I have a running theory that, okay, think about this. We have human development. We have 8 billion people. We have crazy amounts of land dedicated. And we have this practice where we drain our land, right? So it heats up the water. It's sitting fallow, basically sitting without a plant, sitting without plants. And then the water goes to our xeriscape, our hot living conditions, our hot cities. Our urban heat island effects hits that, goes into a drainage, stays hot in insulated thermal mass, runs for about, I don't know how many miles, adds on to the next drainage on the next city, heats up, gets like hundreds, maybe 100 degrees water until it dumps into the ocean sometimes. Sometimes it gets to 100 if it's in the southwest. Sometimes it doesn't even get to the ocean because it's so hot. That doesn't make any sense. How can we say that the ocean is heating up when we've changed so much of the earth and we all live next to water and we don't store drained water? That's just something that we don't do in our current paradigm. And that number is increasing, the amount of roads is increasing, draining off, making gouges that go into rivers, fill up rivers, and then go into the ocean. How does that make sense? That then, first of all, and then we pull ocean water. Remember, we pull ocean water from the ground. We pull well water from the ground at an alarming rate. And we add all this water at a larger rate than before. It's moving way faster right into the ocean than before. And there was wetlands, there was storage, and we drained the storage. So we're killing dams as well. We're removing dams. We're undamming a lot of places. A lot of glaciers died, so there's that. And I'm not knocking that the seawater, the melting is real or fake. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it has more to do, the ocean temperature rise mathematically would have more to do with heating, would have more to do with heating of the water itself. And the best way to heat up the water is not to add CO2 and keep the water moving. The best way to do that is to change the temperature. And anytime it runs off a hot surface. And then also gain every time, okay, if you're gaining land on one side and you're losing ice on the other side, that's what's going on. You're gaining desert land that absorbs all this sunlight versus a forest, right? So that's what's happening. And then you're leaving land black or desert-like. and expecting like nothing to happen. You're leaving most of the earth. I think we've basically covered, I don't know what that figure is, but out of all the arable land is being used to farm, like something like 70% of arable land is using, and that's not a desert, and the desert is growing. And you think that that has no effect on the heating of the earth? Okay, the ocean was always there, so it doesn't have that much of an impact. So what is left, right? It's the growing desert. It's human activity. It's scars of earth. It's the sand. It's the sand in the air. It's the dust that is now in the air that wasn't in the air before. What about that? What about the water vapor from more evaporation from literally, even if it rains, it's worse for the environment than if it just went deep into the earth and recharged. You see, so my theory is that largely CO2 is just a proxy. It's just a proxy for all this human activity that is bad for the environment. And my calculation was that if you covered 22% of the Sahara with white panels that were covered with a material equivalent to calcium carbonate, so limestone, basically painted with a lime wash. Panels or tiles painted with a lime wash, covering 100% of the whatever, like a shingle, but plants were able to grow in between and around them. If you did that, then you would basically, well, first of all, you would immediately make a low pressure zone, which would create so much rain that it might make a permanent cloud cover, so you might not need that many panels to cover 100% of it. You might have a checkerboard to hit just enough to hit a permanent cloud cover. You might be able to do that. Instead of like $3 trillion, it might cost like $1 trillion. It might cost $1 trillion. But I did all these calculations and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, something's not right. I mean, I know China used to be a lot more green at one point. And now a lot of it is industrial. India is a lot of it is industrial. They did the thing with the Yellow River. Now it's like, you think the Yellow River thing, sending water and not going to Vietnam, some of the fish not going to Vietnam, you think that doesn't have anything to do? You think that doesn't have anything to do with the higher evaporation rate that is creating, well, I'm just saying, the humidity rate that's creating more of a global, like a greenhouse effect, or the fallow lands that we leave for literally 6 months. You really think that has nothing to do with, like, you mean to tell me that you can leave something fallow for 6 months and it's black, and then you have a drainage on it to make it even worse? You have drainage, so the heat, you're heating the water, and you're trying to tell me that it has no effect on global warming, especially since H2O is literally 75% of all greenhouse gas. And all of human activity, literally, like, a lot of the heat absorbed is largely heat in the sand itself. So are you really saying that? You wanna clarify yourself? Even when they do their own models, they say that according to the Russian people that were working on biotic pump theory, there was like a Russian physicist gone ecologist, or yeah, ecologist, and a Russian woman, or is it Russian woman? Whatever. That trained partly under him, wrote a paper about biotic pump theory, and then they just did a few podcasts. Well, she just did a podcast with what's his name? Nate Higgins. And yeah, we're in a bind. We're in a bind. Yes, I admit that we're in a bind, but I also admit, don't take this the wrong way, I believe in climate change. I'm just saying it's mischaracterized the way they explain it. I don't claim to understand anything. I'm just coming in with questions. And my calculations say that there's more heat being done. There's more effect being done by the heating of the ground that we have turned from forest into dry desert or farmland. And basically the transpiration is just not there, because trees, remember, trees have a huge surface area and a high conductivity because of their thin leaves, so they radiate a lot of the nighttime well, all day. It's really all day. They do the radiation to the sky directly, so it's just that the net radiation is negative. So what I'm proposing is like a simple calculation of how much white cover, we need to add to X amount of countries. I would say the Sahara Desert, because they're suffering the most. You pick some countries with some jets that would have steady rain along those jets, making an atmospheric river from whatever originating breeze water body, like Mediterranean and Libya and Turkana Jet and Eastern Kenya, the Indian Ocean. Um, yeah, so you use those jets to your advantage to make more water move, and you use a low pressure situation to make more water get trapped. And so if you do this shade project, I'm pretty sure that you can pretty much change the world with either with a lot of work or with some kind of reward of $3 trillion. I would rather have a checkerboard pattern with about 50% shade, and then the trees will just figure themselves out. The rain, that would probably be enough to make the clouds come in. Once the clouds come in, it'll be because there's a jet already there. It'll make the jet so strong that'll be a runaway effect that will hit an equilibrium of probably a rainforest. So there is an equilibrium for rainforest in this, and that's just. I'm surprised nobody's even talking about this. It's not even important to them. I'm sure if you just even I hate to say it, but I'm sure if you have a tactical nuke somewhere, and it was basically, it happened with this. I hate to say it. It's such a bad idea. It's such a bad idea, but it's cheaper than I'm sorry. No, I'm not even gonna say it. I was gonna say turn a tactical nuke into steam, and then have the steam do a one and done in the middle of the. No, it's a terrible idea. I'm just spitballing. I'm just spitballing. But the other idea was that shade is a proven thing, and calcium carbonate is a proven thing. Or I guess you can use barium sulfate. I don't know what you want to use. You can just use like literally titanium dioxide, some other radiant barrier, some other radiant uh, um, roof. But largely, I think solution for CO2 climate crisis is actually warranted and should happen.